The young ball, I lived in Section 8, and I was the poorest kid in Section 8. When all the other kids had bicycles and they go ride around the neighborhood, I had to run along the bikes. You know what I'm saying? No one ever got off the bike. Oh, hey, man, like, here, have a try. I noticed that everyone else has when you don't. So I was like the poorest of poor kids. Now imagine I show back up.
Maybach.
In the I-8, in the Maybach, in the antique rolls, in the Lexus truck. I don't think they're gonna like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm talking about the people who knew me as friends.
Right.
Like, I don't think they're gonna like the homie Crazy Rob, little brother, actually just DM'd me on Facebook, and I didn't even respond because I wasn't even sure what to say or if I wanted to just open that back up because it's like a sore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like there's just so much in there that I don't know what is gonna open back up because there's so much pain and need there. You know what I'm saying? Like, his little brother was a good kid for the most part, and I was with his 3 older brothers. One is dead, one is MIA, and one is in prison. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I'm not sure what good might come out of being engaged in this conversation, but point is this, like, my neighborhood never did shit for me.
Right.
I did a lot of shit for the neighborhood. The neighborhood never did shit for me.
Right. I did.
So how can you love something that doesn't, not how, but you can, like, but why would you love something that doesn't love you? So the Nation of Islam was like giving services and putting them all with knowledge and security and new diet and everything.
Right.
But Harlem, or wherever your hood is, it didn't give you anything.
100%.
It's like me to take something.
100%.
And that's why even when you say black people, you hear folks on the internet like, oh, you can't talk about black women like that.
Right. Yes, you can though.
Right.
We don't know though. Yeah, not my women.
They're not following my program.
100%.
You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Or they say, oh, a black man can't disrespect another black man.
Nah,
Niggas every day.
for sure. And why would they rap about it? They say niggas.
Right.
If niggas were
they
so
mean
loyal, like why they talking about knocking the niggas' dreads off and all that? You love black people so much, it was really like that. Why are you singing the same song and talking about knocking the niggas' dreads off or doing all this shit?
You over some sneakers and you telling me that I can't have a disagreement with another black man on YouTube?
Crazy.
What? What they don't realize is that there's different kind of niggas.
For sure.
There's different kind of whites.
For sure.
There's different kind of Asians.
For sure.
There's different kind of Mexicans.
Right.
And you got to figure out who's like you.
Right.
Because where I'm from, the Cholo Mexicans and the Pretty Boy Mexicans don't kick it. They don't get along. The Cholos consider them mayates. They're like, y'all are too black. What they really actually mean is just like, not like us. Like we feel like we're more authentic Mexican, like y'all are more Americanized. But the way they say it, like y'all are too black. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But even among the Pretty Boy Mexicans, like they don't black people at that level. They hang out with each other. You see what I'm saying? And then among black people, there's different gradations and social. So you have to find the people that are actually like you. The people who say things like "my brother," that's when you know you're about to get scammed. When someone hits you with that "my brother" shit. I tell them, I'm like, no, I'm not your brother. When you're in the middle, you're like, hey, blah, blah, like all of this shit, no, I'm not your brother. You're a stranger to me. And you want something from me. You come with smiles and fake love. So there's black people, that's super out. And you even see in the comments on YouTube, black women will say, oh, you guys never protected us. Okay, hold on to that. You guys, black men, you never protected us. Hold on to that. Then you'll see them also in the comments. The black man is the first one trying to control us and tell us what to do. It's like, isn't that supposed to be our job? Your leader, your protector. If I'm your bodyguard and I see danger, I gotta tell you what to do. They don't want to be controlled. So that's why I'm to the point where, like, if I'm walking down the street, it could be a white woman, it could be a black woman. It could be an old black woman, it could be a Chinese man. They all got to get off and walk around me. If I'm walking through a door, I'm not holding the door open for a stranger. Now you're going to have to hold your own door, little buddy. Like you're not a part of my culture. Like a lot of folks that I see, I don't care if they're black, blue, brown, yellow, or whatever they believe in, I don't know. You have to take that as an unknown. And like Jamshi and I, we actually went to Cal together. So we went to college together. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we go way back. When you focus on somebody with that period of time, you know it's a value alignment. You know what I'm saying? And so don't ever let anybody play you out on like, oh, we're both black, we're both La Raza, we're both Jewish. Like, I even heard, there's this rapper that went on No Jumper, Jewish rapper. He started talking about Vlad. He's like, you know, I thought I bonded with Vlad on some like, oh, we're both Jewish. But, you know, I tried to ask Vlad to help me and Vlad didn't want to help me, so F him. Whoa. So first off, you didn't bond on the Jewish thing, so that was a fake thing. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because you're not the same kind of Jew. Like, you're going to bond when there's shared ideas. The real Jews that stick together are the Hasidim and Hasidic Jews because they share ideas, religion, values, and spirituality and language. But these guys are just two guys trying to make money off of each other. There's no real bond there. They don't celebrate the same stuff. And then the worst thing is how he betrayed Vlad. He didn't betray Vlad because Vlad betrayed him. He didn't insult Vlad because Vlad insulted him. He insulted Vlad because Vlad wouldn't help him.
You can take her.
He said, hey, I released the track, Vlad. Would you re-release it for me on your platform? And Vlad said, I'm not feeling it now. Fair enough. And he never said, oh, I did this for Vlad, or I gave Vlad. I expected something back. He had given Vlad nothing. He had done nothing for Vlad. And that's why I always teach people. Don't lead asking for a damn favor. You know, you don't lead with your hand out. You don't show up with a request. You show up with an offer. You do someone a favor, and then you've invested something into the bank so you can withdraw. You can't withdraw from the bank if you didn't put no money in it. How do people not comprehend that? You ever go to a bank, you open a brand new bank account, you put here, and then you show like, hey, I'm gonna need to withdraw $40,000. They're like, from where, nigga? You ain't 40,000 of another money? Like, come on. But that's the era that we live in, and people play that game with you like, oh yeah, we're both Russian, we're both Uzbek, we're both this or that, and none of that shit is real. Black Americans, one of the most, no, not the most, South Africans are the most ignorant, but they're one of the most ignorant peoples on earth, and what they don't realize, they'll say stupid. I always wanted to make a video on called Dumb Shit Black People Say. I want to make generational wealth. Do it. You ain't even got wealth. How you gonna make wealth for your motherfucking grandkids? Nigga, get a life. But they're always talking about like this far off fantasy type shit instead of like what's real in the here and the now. And then they make lies up about other people's. So, oh, you don't see white people arguing and fighting like this. Nigga, you don't study history? Europe fought 100 wars. 100 with each other. You think that they just went colonize your dumb ass? No, they was colonizing each other. Like, you don't have any understanding. You don't see white people fighting like this. You think Apple and Microsoft got along like good buddies the whole time? Are you dumb? What do you mean white people don't fight? It's like they make up lies. It's like, oh, every white person's born rich. The whites don't fight each other. It's like they create these lies to explain their current stagnation. And what they need, if they did learn anything from white people, this is what they need to learn, especially the Africans. One of the major reasons Africa is very weak is because A, it's a massive continent that's split into small countries and even smaller tribal factions. The United States is a large landmass of states that are all controlled by one federal power. It can extract from damn near an entire continent, conscript soldiers, extract mineral wealth out of the land, extract taxes from a large area, and it has sea to shining sea, which is good for export and trade. Then you look at the dumbass African countries. You look at Ethiopia, landlocked. They lost Eritrea, access to water. They have to go through Djibouti or some other port just to access water and ship goods or receive goods from around the world. You have to pay fees to Djibouti just to go to and access water. You're gonna pay billions of dollars in duties or taxes and fees? You can never have a strong economy. So when you say don't fight with each other, in reality, if they understood real politics and how things evolve, actually we do need war in Africa, and then we need a couple states to take over. Nigeria, for example, should take over the western seaboard. Ethiopia should take over Eritrea and Djibouti. Why won't it take over Djibouti? Because the Western powers have already put military bases there. The United States has a base there. Maybe that's why Eritrea and Ethiopia are split. Ethiopia is a massive country with huge population and a young population. They could be powerful, but they don't have any coastline. And how can you, here's the crazy thing. We're both from America. Look at us. We get along fine. You look at some Eritreans and Ethiopians, they're the same. Sometimes speak the same language, got the same religion, and are still willing to fight each other to the. We're both Americans. But if he was Ethiopian and I'm Eritrean, oh, we're so different. Motherfuckers look identical.
Then there can't tell the difference.
And that's the level of idiocy and stupidity. And when you hear the blacks or the Africans talking about like, oh, we need to get along, we need to get along. No, something has to dominate for everyone's protection. If you have a small country called Togo, you have a small country called Benin, you have a small country called Lesotho, they cannot protect themselves. So what happens is you don't have the Africans invade them, but you'll let these Europeans keep coming down and colonize out of them. You go to Zambia, you go to, what's that other one in the bottom left? It's, Namibia. How'd you know? Who knew? How'd you know? Okay, yeah. You got places like Namibia. It's still ran by like 10 German families, own most of the land. 10 families. What? None of it makes sense. So you do need domination, and this is the thing about the Europeans. They know how to, like, we're going to fight it out, and we're going to come to an agreement, and we're going to respect how the power is, and then when somebody else is on, they come up, we'll reshuffle it again. And that's the way it got to be. I hear dumbass people like, oh, you know, Haitian kids say, oh man, I want to go back to Haiti and make Haiti strong. You can't. It's a fucking island. Are you crazy? You're stupid. Haiti will never be strong. Are you insane? The land isn't even good anymore. And if the land was good, they have weather systems that go through there every season and destroy the place. And you have to import most of your major goods because it's a small place. You'll never have a strong Haiti. It's like the level of thinking is so minuscule. That's why you have to have these smaller countries come together. But America hates when that happens. There used to be another superpower. What was it called?
Libya.
What?
Libya?
They weren't a superpower at all.
Soviet
They had great leadership.
USSR.
The USSR. The United Union of Soviet Republics?
Socialist Republic.
Soviet Socialist Republics, yeah. Oh, they hated that. They had Uzbekistan, they had Latvia, they had Romania, they had Georgia, they had so many different countries together under the Russian Empire, essentially. America didn't like that. They want you broken apart. And that's why the stupid Africans stay all separated and they do stupid shit. We're just going to speak Swahili. How many medical books are written in Swahili? Stuff. How many bioengineering books are written in Swahili? Like, why would you do that when you don't have the infrastructure to engage in high tech? Like, if you go to Ukraine, all of their technologists speak English because that is the language of advancement. An evil business organization. And let me give you guys a clue. Next time you watch the news, notice this. Figure out, are they talking about money? Government's actual purpose is supposed to provide for the common good, building bridges, a basic police force for deviants, public education for the poor, perhaps, roads, a standing army if need be, which really should just be a militia that comes together when needed. So the United States government has grown huge. Every government has, because you're dealing with evil, power-hungry people. And what we don't realize is that the government is the tool of the money business class, the property owning class. And what our government does is they make every effort. Our army is used to open up markets. That's all we use our army to do. Anywhere you go and there's not American business there, the only reason it's not there, thank you, is because that market is dominated by another superpower or it's in another superpower sphere of influence. Have you seen a McDonald's here?
No.
Nah. Why? Who's controlling here?
Government.
Vietnam, but who's really controlling?
China.
Who?
China.
China. This is China's sphere of influence. That's why there's no McDonald's here. The government never goes abroad to spread democracy or to spread freedom. They go abroad to spread Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, Tesla, Apple phones. That's what they go abroad to do. And when you think we're going to help the in, I'm sorry, but leave this out. In Africa, we don't care about the jungle. None of us do. What we're going to do is to open up markets, whether it's a labor market or a market for products. So when we send in US or to topple the government to make it open. Because sometimes you might have a Traore, the guy in Burkina Faso, who rises up as a nationalist, and he doesn't have a superpower behind him. He doesn't have a Russia, he doesn't have a China, but he says, yo, I'm gonna hold this down. They're like, okay, we're gonna send in US aid, or they'll send in, there's this other thing, the corpse, what's it, something
The
corpse?
Peace Corps.
Peace Corps, who said that? This motherfucker. We'll send in the Peace Corps. So we have all of these things that appear to be charitable organizations. Peace Corps, USA. When they're finding out what Doge has been pointing out, every time we give USA for foodstuffs, for seed, farming equipment, what do we say first? You need to improve LGBTQ rights in Kenya. You need to have another election. You need to do fill in the blank that is agenda oriented. Barack Obama took food subsidies away from African countries because they wouldn't get on LGBTQ.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
George Bush Sr. took away medical subsidies. We dropped medicine to a number of places like Gaza. We used to support with medicine. Oh, we also have something called Doctors Without Borders. So remember, I said Peace Corps, USA, Doctors Without Borders. We pull those things back. George Bush Sr. took away the medicine from Iraq. Why? Because they had weapons of mass destruction? Did they? Never found them. We have the best intelligence services in the world. It's a poor, low-income country. What are the chances they have weapons of mass destruction that are in working conditions, can be maintained, or even deployed? And if they can't be deployed, they can't be deployed across the Atlantic Ocean. And if it could be deployed across the Atlantic Ocean, it's not moving at supersonic speeds that's going to be able to beat our defense systems. So who are we protecting? What's going on? What are the lies? When we send Doctors Without Borders, Peace Corps, which I was going to be in Peace Corps, or we send diplomats and all these things, or USA, those are all fronts. None of them are what they are supposed to be. None of them are charitable organizations, including the Red Cross. Who knows why I was going to join the Peace Corps? CIA. What? CIA. CIA. You joined the Peace Corps because when you fill out an application for CIA, one of the things they like to see on your resume is a critical needs language. Urdu, Pashto, Farsi, Arabic. Another thing they like to see, because you're going to be deployed abroad, is that you have lived abroad. So a CIA training ground is the Peace Corps. And in addition to that, you come in with relationships. The CIA, in actual fact, is just an organization that extracts intelligence, i.e. information, through relationships. So you have relationships. Doctors Without Borders say, what people don't realize is CIA doesn't have you take on a new identity. You get to be yourself. They love people who have mathematic degrees, engineering degrees. They're high up in certain industries. So imagine they want to take down the guy in Burkina Faso, the new dictator, as they call him. They love to call him dictator. Is the guy running China not a dictator? Never call him that, though, do they? They scared. They can't change his regime. So they figure we can't call him a dictator, or else people are going to say, hey, why don't you go change the regime? They can't. They're too weak. But the guy in Burkina Faso, they can for sure probably change his. So they call him a dictator. Now imagine you did Peace Corps in Burkina Faso. Learned a little bit of French and a little bit of whatever tribal or African language they speak over there. And you make friends with people who are high up because the upper class in Africa, they want to meet you. Kanye West, they want to meet you. Michael Jordan, Tupac Shakur. They love Americans. They're fascinated by our upper class and our celebrity class. And you got more money than the average African, so when you're out there, wherever you stay, whatever hotel, and wherever you eat, you're gonna meet them. And then CIA is gonna come over like, hey man, you're about 25 years old, and do you speak a little bit of Urdu? Oh, awesome, okay. You know, I know you were out at the club last week and you had met like the son of the minister of Equatorial Guinea, didn't you? Okay, cool, well, you know what? And then now you're gonna be pumping him for information. And you have every incentive because you're an American citizen, you have nothing to lose, they're not going to suspect you, and they're going to pay you handsomely. And you feel justified in doing the filthy, deceitful that you're doing. And the beautiful thing is you're black and we need you to be black. Because we have to embed you among. One thing the CIA is not going to do, they're not going to take Mitchell and send this to Cote d'Ivoire. They're going to take Quad and send him to Sudan. But Quad is perfect because he looks Sudanese, but he's American. And if he happens to be fluent in Arabic or whatever language they might speak in Juba, is that called Juba?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever language they might speak in Juba, he's perfect. They're going to send his ass in there, embedded, and he's going to f up. And eventually, you're going to see like, oh, it's the Arab Spring. The Arabs are rising up against their oppressive dictators. No, actually, they sent maybe 5 or 6 quats in there with a whole ton of money, cash money. And they found a bunch of Malcolm X's who wanted to start their own revolution. That's how Libya ended. They found a bunch of Malcolm X's. Libya was one of the most stable and present countries ever. They sent in a motherfuckers is destabilizing. So, U.S. aid is just bribery, and it really is slavery, because the truth is, like, Nigeria just recently became oil self-sufficient. Nigeria's been producing oil since the 60s. How the fuck can it take 50 years to become oil self-sufficient when you have all the oil? Why are you hiring European companies and American companies to come in and refine the oil? They finally did it. Are they the only African country that's done it? Yeah, there's one in North Africa, which we don't consider North Africa because the Europeans have taught us, even though it's in the African continent, it's the Middle East. Because the Europeans lie. They also told us Europe was a continent. It's clearly not a continent. It's part of Eurasia, right? But they make sure that you cannot monopolize and maximize on your own resources. When people do it, you know what happens? You get done like Latin America. That's why Latin America is so quiet. They were revolutionary first. While Africa was colonized, the Latin Americans were revolutionary. You heard of Che Guevara? Yeah. Shout out to Che, because instead of trying to run Cuba, he said, I'm going to keep on creating revolution. He got betrayed by his own people. He was say, your own people, other Latinos. He was over in Bolivia, and the Bolivians betrayed him. In concert with who?
America?
CIA.
The CIA.
Yeah.
CIA trained them and supported that regime, and that's when they caught Che slipping in Bolivia. Yes, and it's actually Latinos. You watch the documentary, it's all Latinos, all Spanish speakers are taking pictures with his dead body. Here's Che's dead, and he throwing up the peace sign. Your own people, Hispanohablantes. Those are not your people. You kidding me? Che was Argentine, but he created a revolution in Cuba. Why? The alignment and the ideas. He couldn't create the revolution in Argentina apparently. Che started is because he saw that you had copper mines, and the big issue was the United Fruit Company. All those bananas, Chiquita Banana Lady, all that. Well, that all comes from Latin America. And the Latin Americans been getting screwed for the longest, but the beautiful thing about the CIA's operations in Latin America, they've been so much more sniper-like. Because in Latin America, because the Latin Americans were very communist. They have a strong history of being communists down there. I don't sign off on this shit. But the only reason it made sense that they were communists is because they took the backing of the Soviet Union and used that to get from under the control of the American corporations that were pumping out all of their resources and not giving them anything. But what the Americans would do in Latin America, they would literally just murder the leaders. And the coups would come really quickly because they also had something that was unique in Latin America that you didn't have in Africa, which are the drug cartels. Various drug cartels that they can mobilize ready-made paramilitary organizations, which you didn't have in Africa because Africa was not exporting drugs around the world like that. But if you want to know how evil and rotten the American government really is, Afghanistan is the best example. American government robbed Afghanistan from the people who should hold it. I believe that was the Pashtuns, also known as the, what do they call them niggas now? What do they call it?
Taliban?
Taliban, yeah. There was 0% usage among the population. They kicked out the Taliban, America occupied. Usage went skyrocketed. Because what do they produce in Afghanistan? Opium, heroin. They basically they have the rudiments for heroin. So drug addiction locally went up, but also what went up dramatically, export of drug materials. They say the Taliban is so bad. Taliban takes back over, addiction plummets, and export plummets. Now me personally, I'm more Manuel Noriega. I'd have been like, look, we ain't gonna use it. But I don't see nothing wrong with selling it. I don't see that we can export this shit. I mean, I think the Europeans might need some of this shit. I think the Americans might need some of this shit. We got a lot of it. We can give something to them. But Taliban won't even export the drugs. How bad could they possibly be?
What about the synthetic opioids? Is that
like fentanyl?
Yeah. So is
That's
that
coming out of Mexico and China?
okay? Yeah. So is that why the U.S. like left Afghanistan? Because they were like, oh, now we have this stuff.
Hell no. Hell no. They left Afghanistan because it was a what's that word? Fill in the blank war. It's a protracted war.
Mm-hmm.
How many? Anybody know about how many years they were over there?
20 years.
Yeah, and still lost. They realized at some point we have to cut our losses. We're not winning. It's another Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, actually. They were in a country that was supposed to be too poor, supposed to be too under-equipped, supposed to be too weak, and it turns out it was poor, it was under-equipped, but it wasn't weak. See, what the Americans have trouble understanding because they're colonial in their mindset, some people you could take them and break them. Take this right here, make this Christian, because I'm a Christian. Make this listen to bluegrass country music, because I like bluegrass country music. Make this wear jeans and flannel shirts. And some niggers will follow it all the way through. Then you got some other niggers. Both a wild nigger. It just, you cannot break some things. Yeah.
I want to know if your thoughts on this, but do you think you're actually not naive to think that they could win the war, or is it like if they make more money in their military industrial complex makes more money from a longer war, so they can keep them?
They make money during the wars, but I am absolutely certain that they thought they were going to win. Sometimes we know they're lying, like with the Ukraine-Russia. We knew they were lying from the beginning. They knew they could not win. We knew, everybody knew they couldn't win. And if you guys listen to me, when the war first broke out, I said, Putin's going to win because he can't lose, and he'll press that motherfucking button before he's going to lose again.
Yeah.
I mean, they think that they could implant democracy in the Middle East. That's what they were trying to do in Iraq. They thought that. In Vietnam, they thought they were going to win, and they didn't find out they couldn't win until they realized the difference between a mercenary, which is what we have. We have paid. You got motherfuckers that's like, look, homie, I've been rice farming my whole life. I know this land. My grandparents have been on this land, and ain't much on it. Just water, grass, and rice and shit. But it's mine, though. And I need it. And I die in this. You can't beat that unless you eradicate everybody. Mm-hmm. Now, he's the kind of guy, he's like, okay, well, all. No, like you, like, what is all? But the modern American government is not willing to do that. Yeah, so they're going to send in soldier after soldier until our soldiers start getting scared to go into the crawl holes. And so they start it causes mutiny. and what's the other word when you go AWOL?
Defect.
Yeah, defectors. You start having morale issues, and you have people with Agent Orange. You have people using drugs. We had huge addiction when people went to Vietnam because they couldn't handle the action. Motherfuckers was too action. Some people are warriors. Some people are paid. They're just paid to be there. Oh, I wanted to get my college for free. You shouldn't be in the military. We didn't sit you in a killing situation, and you're just there for free college? Now just imagine you dealing with the Mujahideen or Al-Qaeda, where your imam is right there fighting with you. And your imam says, you go to all of them. And if they get you, Allahu Akbar. If they get you, I see you on the other side. And either way it go, it's a good outcome in your head. Either way it go, it's a blessing. But here's the crazy thing. Their leader, people talk greasy about Osama bin Laden, right? He the one that called that war, right? Our leader is in the White House, safer than a bitch. George Bush, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, whoever the is, he in the White House safer than a bitch. Sending your dumb ass and your kids. Do you know how inspired you feel when the that sent you to war is right there? He hunted just like you hunted. He's in them trenches with your ass. That's why Napoleon Bonaparte, they said when he showed up, he was like bringing in another platoon of men, another regiment of men, because it was the warrior king. You cannot beat the Muslims. In their actual book, there are verses for war. The Bible does not have anything comparable. The Bible does not say if people violate this book, if they violate the religion, if they insult our God, if they insult our prophet, take them out. It doesn't say that. So if you have people who've been raised since yay high, praying 5 times a day, you know what kind of discipline that requires? And they're living their life. Muslims are supposed to be in the constant remembrance of God. That's why you also hear they are always saying, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Insha'Allah. You hear Allah a lot, right? Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah. They're constantly in the remembrance of God. Call it what you want, brainwashing, whatever it is, but they're dedicated, and that's their military. The kid's been militarized since ever, and then you got some dumbass college kid, or college age kid, who been on TikTok, and he wanted to be a social media star, and he just wanted to get his college money, and he low-key gonna fake an injury so he can get out of the Army on disability, right?
You can't compare.
Going up against one of these Allahu Akbar niggas? Nah, bro, like, that gonna win every time.
Lose weight.
But here's the other piece too. They're fighting on their home court. They're fighting on their own soil. Like, even if they didn't with the country, if you own a house that you grew up in, you ain't gonna protect your house? At least your house?
I know the layout better than protect the tree.
But also imagine this. What if all you've known is war? What if all your mom knew is war? What if all your grandfather knew is war? We call that place Lebanon. Or call it Palestine. Or just call it the Middle East. These motherfuckers ain't scared of war. Americans are trying to minimize the body count. The Middle East, they do this. You guys all got the checks? You all good? You all good? Everyone's paid?
Yes, sir.
Peace in the saints.